Okay, YouTube, here we are. Last minute video. I wasn't going to do a video today, and then I figured, well, I need to make something to eat, and I thawed out some hamburger last night that I had in the freezer, and I was going to make some sloppy joes. I call them sloppy Stanleys because I use my grandfather's recipe for the most part, and his name was Stanley. So growing up, all my friends from high school know what I'm talking about. We always used to talk about sloppy Stanleys, and most of my good friends have all had sloppy Stanleys. So anyways, we'll get going with the sloppy joes, and this is one of my sort of I don't want to call it a garbage plate. I mean, it's not a garbage plate, but I consider the sloppy joe one of those garbage dishes where go in your fridge, look and see what you've got. As long as it hasn't got any mold or anything on it, and doesn't have any funky smells, throw it in the sloppy Stanleys. You can put as little or as much stuff in a sloppy joe as you want, in my opinion. I usually will do at least onions and peppers. I don't have a pepper today, no big deal. And then for families that are making a meal, you know, you kids are picky with vegetables, this is also a good dish to sneak stuff in, and I'll show you like what I'm talking about. You can put different things in and you don't even really know it's there. And then you're getting sort of a serving of vegetables. But anyways, let me get the tunes going. Like I said, I kind of threw the camera up last minute, so I don't have everything quite ready, but I think I got most of what I need. And we'll just take our time and we'll get them done. If it's a long video, I apologize, but we'll get things started here. They don't usually take too long to cook, but they should simmer for a little while. But anyways, let's get started. Okay, so listen, this is what I got. What knife should I use? Use this one. This will work. Actually, I want something a little stiffer. This will work. This will be just fine. This is like a little mini chef's knife. I don't like my hands are below the blade. So if this blade was just a little more out and I could rack this a little, I'd use this all the time, but this is good and sharp. I just sharpened it. So I'm putting carrots in this. I like putting carrots in anything. If I got carrots, I use them. Jesus, I can't find anything. This will work. So how to put the carrots in if you know you want to hide them in there and you're hiding them on your kids is a couple different ways. You could just shave them with this thing, paper thin, and they cook down to nothing. Or just do a real fine dice, and I'll show you how I learned how to do that. Daddy Jack's has a how-to on that. But so I learned this on YouTube. Daddy Jack's Cooking with the Blues. You know, don't cut all the way in half. Leave it at the root, and that'll hold it together. I don't know if I'm getting this on camera, but put some slices down. You know, and if you wanted to make it real fine, which I do for a couple different reasons, it'll cook faster. And you know, you don't want, generally speaking, you don't want, you know, a bunch of carrot, big chunks of carrot in your sloppy joe. But if they're minced up and cooked down to nothing, you really don't even know what's there. So basically, you can see what I did there. You're just going to roll it and put slices, as many as you can, down through it. And then, you know, you leave it at the root connected so it holds it together. Then you just come through and make real thin slices. And you know, you end up with basically real pretty small chunks of carrot. And you know, these will cook up quick. I don't know if any of you guys have cooked with carrots before, but they do take a while. Another trick I do if I want to sort of get things going in a hurry is you could microwave it. So then the end, you know where the end of your slices was. And for the most part, you got a bunch of smaller slices than you would have gotten doing it, you know, the hard way. Then that little chunk that's left, you know, then you could just do and make thin slices down. Fold those together, and again, just do a real thin sort of chop. And just be careful you don't cut yourself. But again, we'll just go through and make a bunch of thin slices here. I do the carrot first because I'm going to get that right in the oil and get that cooking while we're cutting everything else up. Everything else will cook up nice, but these could take a little while, and you don't want hard chunks of carrot in your sloppy joe. Now, sloppy joes are kind of a spicy, sweet thing, you know, and some people will put a little sugar and stuff. Same with a spaghetti sauce or red sauce, pasta sauce, whatever you want to call it. I like to do a vegetable, a bell pepper or a carrot. It has that natural sweetness, and you're not using processed sugar to sweeten something up. You're using natural, you know, natural things. So you know, people call me crazy, but I'll even throw a carrot in spaghetti sauce, but I'll mince it up like that, cook it down, give yourself some oil. Now, I'm putting a little more oil than I normally would because the beef I have is 90%, so there's not a lot of fat there. So it's gonna need something to fry in anyway. Am I still recording here? Making sure the phone ain't dying. What are we at? 7 minutes already, and I already only got a carrot cut. Sorry. So those, I'll go right in and start letting them cook up. Because you know, they're the hardest vegetable in here. Celery, same thing. I don't care if I cut this as fine as the carrot, but the same deal. You can leave the root together, throw some slices down, it holds it together for you, and then you're just going to come through and you know, and you get little pieces of celery. That's all. Again, if you don't like carrot, the taste of carrot, don't put it in. You don't like celery, don't put it in. I like pretty much all vegetables, so if you ask me, if you got them, throw them in there. What are you going to do? You're either going to throw it in there and eat it, or you're going to let it sit in the fridge and let it go bad and throw it out. So if there's something you can put it in there. These carrots are just frying up. Get them nice and soft. It won't take long because they're gonna cook with all your other vegetables too. You could throw that celery in. So yeah, one carrot every, you know, basically however much you're making, you judge that. But one, and one, an onion, a carrot, and a celery so far is easy. And I think I got 2.5 pounds of meat, so you know, you guys have probably realized I don't measure much, but maybe some people are wondering, you know, what I'm using for amounts. This is a sweet onion. I think it's Vidalia, but I don't know if it actually said Vidalia, but it did say sweet. explain a little here. Same thing with the onion. You can make it as coarse or as fine as you want. You cut it in half, put it on the half side, and then if you want large chunks, make these wider. But if you want sort of fine dice, you go, you know, put a few slices down through. At that point, you could cut. My grandmother also used to put a couple this way. You know, not all the way, so it all holds together. And then just let the knife do the work. Back and forth motion. And you get, you know, you get a nice minced onion. You could even do it that way if you're putting these on, you know, hamburgers or something. You need to make a little bowl of onions for condiments. Anything you need to cut an onion for. And then I just throw a, you know, you could cut 2 slices down that end or whatever. I don't care if there's a couple bigger chunks. And this is just sloppy joes. So, I don't know. I almost think that's enough onion. I'm gonna save that other half. That's a big onion. There's quite a bit in there. Technically, there's never too much onion, in my opinion, but I don't know that there's much of a benefit to throwing the other half in there. So now you have your base. Now this is probably going to freak everybody out, but I'm going to do it. I've done it in the past. And I like peas anyways. People are thinking you're going to put peas in there. Yep. But again, I like all vegetables. They don't bother me at all. Now, I've done it where you just put the peas whole right in there. I'll admit that is a little weird when you're eating a sloppy joe and you see just a pea sitting there. So another thing you can do is, which probably is going to look even grosser than it actually is. And again, these are just leftover peas, but you guys have learned now I don't throw nothing away. So you mash them like baby food. Ugh. Everybody's going to be grossed out. But trust me, especially for yous with families and your kids won't eat no vegetables, if you mash it like this and you can't actually see it, it's just going to form a paste. You put it in, it'll add a little sweetness to the overall dish, but will you taste peas? No. And then, you know, your kids are getting a serving of peas. Peas are great for you. I think it's one of the, it might be, I'd have to look it up, but I think it might be one of the superfoods. It's got a lot of, peas are really, really good for you. Any real green vegetable. Horseradish is a superfood, I know that. Cinnamon's a superfood. See? We got a paste. And really, there's no really, you know, nothing you could see there to tell that there's a pea. And that's just going to cook in. It'll help thicken your overall dish. Turn the fire up just a little bit. I'm telling you something. You take an onion, a carrot, and a piece of celery and cut it up and fry it like this. Your house will smell fantastic for a week. It's just something about that. Oh, I'm gonna put a little garlic too. I know everybody's gonna hate me. I'm using the pre-chopped stuff, but listen, it's easy. Little garlic, that ain't gonna hurt nobody. Garlic's great. Oh, I got these too. This is those tomatoes from the fajitas. I don't necessarily think I want the water. Let me go drain them. I'll strain them. I don't want too much liquid. You know, the liquid will cook off anyways, but those are the tomatoes from the fajitas with the green chilies in there. See what I mean? This is, look at, I mean, you guys have seen some of the videos a lot of this stuff has come from. And a lot of people probably throw all this stuff out. It isn't a question of being broke or having money or anything. It's just not being wasteful. You know how many people are hungry and people are throwing food out? Let's say you are on a fixed budget. You add all this stuff to the, you know, you get, instead of maybe getting, I don't know, 10 sloppy joes, this is all kind of a filler. Maybe you get 15 out of them. Here's the pea paste. I know, everybody, listen. I didn't say it was going to be pretty. I'm telling you, it's a thickening agent. It's going to make them sweeter. You ain't going to taste peas. And you won't even know they're in there when we're done. Just going to sort of work these in. Just like a, well, not just like, but it's, you know, like tomato paste when you're making sauce. We just mashed it into a paste, and you know, in the end, peas have some starch to them anyways, and that'll thicken this. And you don't want runny sloppy joes. Sometimes you have in places and the flavor's all there with you know, with the sloppy joe, but it's runny and it doesn't hold together on the bun. I like them kind of thicker, and I gauge that, you know, how they are when they're done. If I have to, I'll even thicken them up with a little bit of flour and some more milk or something, or even water, and then stir it in, and that'll kind of coagulate it. But you only do that if it needs it. That's it for the vegetables. I'm just going to let those peas kind of cook in, warm up. And then we'll get our seasoning started here. So I use God's honest truth. I've made these, well, not millions, but I've made these a lot, and I don't think I've ever used the same combination of seasonings. I kind of do what I'm in the mood for, but we'll show you what I do today, and I guarantee you, if you follow suit, you'll be pleased with whatever you come up with. Now they make the sloppy joe mix too. With I'll be honest, I've never bought that. That's probably okay. I presume it's just like a seasoned sauce that you season your burger up with, but I don't. Again, I've never used it, so use that. I mean, I guess I do like to throw. I mean, I like to throw a lot. You know, that's what sloppy joes are, right? Heavily seasoned meat. So. Yeah, why not? We'll do that. That should be good, I think. Okay, so now we'll throw the beef in. Now, the sloppy joes that I make, you could, I mean, you could really do anything you want, but they're good as a traditional sloppy joe. Like a sandwich. They're still a little frozen from the freezer, so I'll get those in there. It's all right. It'll thaw right out in the. It'll thaw right out in the pan. Okay, where was I? Okay, so the traditional sloppy joes on a bun. Obviously, that's delicious. That's what we're making. But once you get, you know, you'll have leftovers, and heat some up in a bowl with some cream cheese or sour cream and some melted cheese, maybe, and delicious with like tortilla chips, any chips really, crackers. You know, kind of like, almost like a chili, but it's not chili, you know, but you could dip anything in there, especially if you add some goodies. Jesus, this pan might not be big enough. Well, it'll all cook down too. I guess I should have used the bigger pan, that's okay. Now a lot of liquid will come out of that meat. So anyway, we'll start seasoning. The tahini seasoning you've seen me use, that'll give a nice flavor in this. A little bit of chili powder. Not a lot, just that's all. Adobo, of course. Healthy amount of that. That's a lot of flavor there. Generic steak seasoning. That ain't gonna hurt you. Regular old pepper. This is that green pepper that I bought. From what I could tell, I've been using it on different things. I mean, it basically tastes like, it tastes like regular pepper, I guess. If anything, it's a little like sharper. I don't know if that's the way to describe it. This is the Cavender's. This is just seasoned salt. Utica grind, crushed red pepper, baby. Nothing but the best. That'll give you a little heat. Next one, you guys know, one of my favorites. Plain old Italian seasoning. It's really just a collection of what? Marjoram, thyme, rosemary, savory, sage, oregano, and basil. This big can I like. I usually just refill it. Just a pinch of that. And last but not least, just a little old-fashioned Old Bay. Old Bay will make anything taste good. Not a lot. A little bit. And maybe just a little plain salt. A little plain salt. Still want news and information, but you aren't driving to work for a while? Listen to us. The adobo has a little salt in it, and the seasoned salt obviously has salt. So you don't want to go too crazy. Okay. Things are starting to thaw out here. It's still a little frozen from the freezer. And you'll see, you know, we're getting a lot of liquid out of the meat. Now, initially the liquid isn't fat. Everybody thinks right away it's all fat. Oh, here's Mama doing a cooking video on my sloppy joes. I don't care, you can come. Mom's here to feed the cats. So you're just breaking the hamburger up. I really should have used a bigger pan. So anyways, what I was saying, when you first cook hamburger, the initial juice that comes out isn't fat. A lot of it's just moisture. And a lot of that will cook off. So that's kind of what we're doing, is we're cooking a lot of that moisture off.
Online visit FORHIMS.com/E8SY.
This is Joanne Jenkins, CEO of AARP. The coronavirus continues to affect us all, and we are here actively supporting you and your community. Every day we're providing trusted information from top health experts, sharing tools to help protect families from fraud, and creating resources to support family caregivers everywhere. As always, you can count on AARP to advocate for you and your family. Join us and stay connected at aarp.org/coronavirus.
The Grand Healthcare wants to salute all healthcare workers that are working hard to keep our community and your loved ones healthy. At the Grand, we're working together to take every proper precautionary measure to ensure that our residents are getting the best care possible to stay healthy. As a staff, we are here for your family and loved ones during the time when you wish you could be. Everything in our power is being done to enrich the lives of our residents and keep them in positive spirits during this difficult time. As long as all continue to follow guidance from our health officials, we know better and brighter days are on the horizon. We care so much about our residents and our staff at the Grand. And although as a community we're staying
You see, you get a lot of liquid here.
and are all in this together.
Boy, I couldn't have
So proud not only of our staff,
chosen
but
a
all the healthcare workers
more
in the
small
area
pan,
who
huh?
are working around the clock to continue keeping our community safe. The Grand Healthcare. During this difficult time, stay safe and remember to be grand.
James Parmenzano here from James Mitsubishi. I hope you and your family are safe and healthy. We're willing to help people who still need and want
The smell
to buy a
is
new car.
fantastic.
We're doing so in the safest way possible. We'll help you.
So you can see a little orange with the carrot, but
Text, phone, or email. Most importantly, bankers are still lending for people in
and I
all
can still see a little
situations.
green
We're working
from the
directly
peas.
with Mr. Banker to help people drive safe and reliable.
But for the most part,
Interest rates were just reduced. 0% financing on
and it's not even done yet.
with no payments for 90 days. Credit
When it's
criteria
done, you'll be able to
to help
hardly
you
be able to tell.
with just $1 down, even if you've been turned down before. That makes it a great time to buy for the same or even lower monthly payment. My team is here to help you purchase using text, phone, or email. Then we'll deliver the car and pay for it in the safest way possible. I am James Parmenzano, the dealer that delivers you more. Only at James Mitsubishi in Rome or online at jamesmitsubishi.com.
This is County Executive Anthony Pacino. Thank you, Nevada County, for standing strong against the coronavirus. The
Wow.
sacrifice by you and your family to stay home
Oh,
and
okay.
prevent the spread of the virus is saving lives. We need you to stay strong.
I can feed the cats if you want. It's up to you.
It's
Oh.
a very difficult time. Many of our residents
Oh, all
are
right.
at work, and the threat to our older neighbors is extremely serious and scary.
Okay.
But we continue to stand strong in order to stop the spread and save lives.
This is Mayor Rob Palmieri reminding you that social
Can't decide if I should leave it in this pan or
reduce the
switch.
spread of the coronavirus and promote public health.
I'll leave it in this
Please continue
pan.
to practice good hygiene and stay clear of large
How many minutes we at?
overcome this virus
28 minutes.
stronger than ever.
Thank you for
This is
being
going to be a record breaker here,
for being patient.
just on time alone.
Stay close to home. Let's continue to protect our loved ones, our community, and our work.
Nothing you want to rush,
What
though.
we've done so far has saved lives. What we do going forward will define our future. For more information, go to ocgov.net.
Tony's Pizzeria in Washington Mills delivers 7 days a week. They're open from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. during these difficult times, and boy, have they lowered prices. Chicken rings, $8. Green Tony, $8. Small cheese and 10 boneless wings, $10. A large one topping and small one.
It looks
pizza,
really good.
$20. How about a large
A lot of liquid there still.
30 wings, $35.
I'll let a lot of that cook out.
737-9172.
A social distancing tip.
The more you cook out, the less you have to thicken it later. So the sauce comprises of mostly plain old yellow mustard, not a lot, regular old tomato ketchup. I throw a little bit of steak sauce. That gives it a little different, not a different taste, but a little body.
Brought to you by the Ad.
You could leave the steak sauce out. You can put extra. Don't really matter. Sometimes I'll put a little barbecue sauce. Barbecue sauce tends to be very strong, so you put just a touch, and the whole thing will taste like barbecue sauce. So, I don't try to go too crazy on the barbecue sauce. I mean, if that's what you're making, barbecue sloppy joes, then by all means use it. But I'm just making traditional sloppy joes today. Sloppy Stanleys. We're making sloppy Stanleys today. Now, my grandfather probably wouldn't let me hear the end of it if he knew I was putting carrots and peas in here. My grandfather just did the traditional garlic, onions, bell pepper, no celery. He hated celery anyway, so he would never put that. But, you know, he showed me how to do it, and I kind of took him to my own thing with it. I still call them sloppy Stanleys. So you can kind of see the more we're mixing this, we're getting less and less liquid, and what's left is probably fat. Now, if you're a real health nut, you could drain it, but you do want a little liquid there to form your sauce, so I leave it. And plus, this was only 90% beef anyways, so there's not a lot of fat anyways, other than the little oil I put in to begin with, which was, I think, vegetable oil, which isn't really that bad for you anyhow. Olive oil is the best for you, or avocado. So it doesn't take a whole lot. I don't have much ketchup left, but I know I got enough for this. Jesus, the noises. You all liking that? Think you're doing it? Huh? This should be good. And then even less mustard, way less mustard. Too much is not what you're after. I might just do a... That's it. That's probably too much. Steak sauce you can kind of put as much as you want, because that's just going to make it taste better. The mustard, if you go too much and somebody that doesn't like mustard eats it, they'll know it's in there. But you know, just a little bit gives it that nice sour zing. Might need a little more ketchup. I gauge it based on the color. It just needs to be a little redder. Now, as it cooks, it will get more red. I don't know if there's something in the ketchup that releases once it gets warm, but it will get more and more red as it cooks. You could eat this just as it is right now and it would be delicious. But I could tell that I want a little more ketchup. Now, if you had tomato paste, you know, I've got tomato paste. I'm not going to put any in here. I never have, but I imagine you could use that. You could probably use a little tomato sauce if you had some. Sure, no problem. But my grandfather did it with ketchup. My grandmother did it with ketchup. So I use ketchup. And my guess would be the sloppy Joe sauce in a can is probably, you know, a base of mostly basically ketchup. You know what I'll do? I'll just take a splash of balsamic vinegar, put it in that, make sure this is, yeah, okay. Put it in that bottle. Not a whole lot. Balsamic will give this a nice little sweetness to it too. we'll rinse out the rest of the ketchup. See how that's getting more red just by cooking? Or orange, whatever you want to call it. That's the rest of our ketchup with a little bit of balsamic to rinse the bottle out. Oh yeah, we're getting there. See, when it makes that sizzle like that, that means there's little liquid left other than the grease or the liquids that we put in with the ketchup and the mustard. Which those, well, the ketchup for sure has a little sugar in it, so that will kind of cook down and you'll get that noise more than if you just put water. You know, the sugar kind of caramelizes. That looks just about right. Now, again, this is this is the way I make them. You could do, notice though, you wouldn't know there's peas in there. But look what a nice thick that holds on the spoon, not running off. I don't have to add no thickener to that. Now, if I didn't put those peas, this would probably have just ran right off like a, you know, it wouldn't have held together like that. And they add sweetness, they add a little starch. Not saying you have to use peas, but if you have peas left over from something, or if you have a can of peas in your cupboard that you've been wondering what the hell you're going to do with it, because you don't like peas, throw them in something like this. Guarantee you won't even know they're there, you won't even taste them. And you use them up and you get the benefit of the nutritional value of a pea. Alright, anyways, let's see. These are basically done. You could let this sort of simmer as long as you want. But we sort of seasoned everything so heavily that the taste will be there even now. Simmer it for another half hour or so. Of course, the flavors will intensify, but I'm not going to bore you to death. But this is easy. You guys know how to make a sloppy joe. You get your bun. Of course, you want to be special and toast it up. You could use a poppy seed Kaiser roll or some real fancy roll. By all means, it's going to make it even that much better. But just for time's sake and simplicity's sake, get your stuff mixed up good so you're not getting any of those juices from the bottom. And kind of like the same thing with the fajitas, less is more. You could really glop this on, but you're going to have a mess. And if you don't mind that, that's fine. I just put a decent amount, you know, to make it worth it, but I don't like stuff running all over my face and a big, you know, mess. That's about as much as I would put. Even some with that is gonna run off, but that's it. Tap your bun on and eat it. Thanks for watching, everybody. Sorry it was a long one, but that's how I make sloppy joes, or as I call them, sloppy Stanleys. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay away from everybody. Thanks for watching. See y'all when I see ya.